For 9 days in February 2013, the nation was gripped by the manhunt for a cop killer. It unfolded across 5 Southern California counties. The case of former LAPD officer Christopher Dorner brought tragedy and fear. Now it is providing lessons.
Our Carter Evans was caught in the middle of the shootout in Dorner's final hours. He's in Los Angeles with an early look at the most authoritative review of the events to date. Carter, good morning.
Good morning. The 120-page report from the Washington, D.C.-based Police Foundation goes public later today. But we have an advanced copy. It tells a story of heroism and exemplary police work under fire, but it also points out some potentially deadly shortcomings, from broken lines of communication to an army of police officers who deployed on their own to the scene and may have done more harm than good. When police surrounded cop killer Christopher Dorner in a remote cabin in the mountains of Southern California last year, we were the only news crew there. It was the end of a 9-day manhunt for the former LAPD officer who was hunting cops and their families. It looks chaotic. Is it chaotic, or is there some method to the madness here?
Well, there's a level of chaos, but it's a controlled chaos.
Jim Bierman is president of the Police Foundation. The independent law enforcement think tank spent 6 months interviewing the officers involved and analyzing evidence, including CBS News video, so police can learn from what went wrong.
In 2014, we still have this challenge that police departments in certain parts of a region still cannot communicate with each other.
That was evident early in the morning of February 7, 2013, when Dorner opened fire on 2 LAPD officers who were outside their jurisdiction, protecting cops Dorner was targeting. They were not able to immediately alert other officers that Dorner was in the area because LAPD car radios were out of range. Less than 15 minutes later, just a few miles away, Dorner randomly ambushed 2 Riverside officers on routine patrol.
This is the in-car camera from the Riverside Police Department patrol car.
It's the first time this video has been shown to the public.
Dorner's pickup truck is across the intersection there next to that cab. It's the vehicle that's moving now.
Is he firing now?
Right there. You'll see the movement and the smoke.
So at this point, Officer Crane
has been mortally wounded, and Officer Takayas has been shot multiple times and has lost the ability to control the car.
As Dorner speeds off, the police alert is finally heard.
The suspect vehicle is still outstanding. It's a black Nissan Titan.
But it was too late. Officer Crane was dead. His wounded partner called for help.
1199, officer shot multiple times.
How does this make you feel to see this?
It's one thing if you have a chance to fight back. And, you know, these guys didn't have a chance.
When Dorner was finally cornered in the mountain cabin 5 days later, another problem arose. Officers from all over the region raced to the scene on their own. Rick Brazil was the lead investigator on the report.
The 400 plus to 800, depending on estimates, officers that self-deployed up that mountain were not needed. In fact, they got in the way.
Was that something you expected, anticipated?
I did not.
San Bernardino County Sheriff John McMahon says the unrequested response by individual officers was overwhelming.
Folks came from all over Southern California, and the incident command system went out the window.
That's because sheriff's commanders could not communicate with the majority of the cops who self-deployed, so they had no information. And the report says many of the officers were out of their cars with rifles pointed downhill toward the action, even though it was more than a mile away. Who were they pointing their guns at?
I think the reality is they may have been pointing some of their guns at their own fellow officers.
The report indicated that it was so chaotic that some law enforcement officers say it was a miracle that no one else got hurt.
You're absolutely correct. It was a miracle.
Dorner killed one more deputy at the scene before eventually taking his own life when tear gas ignited the cabin, burning it to the ground. What's the one thing you want people to take away from this report that you've produced?
That this could happen again. We have to be prepared. We hope for the best, and we have to prepare that somebody may replicate this.
The Police Foundation says communication problems between different agencies have been a major issue since 9/11. right up through the Boston bombing. They recommend communication system upgrades, but that's expensive. So they're also telling agencies to get together and talk about a plan before the next incident occurs. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department tells us it's already implementing some of those suggestions. The LAPD Chief Beck has declined our request for an interview.